Firstly, I'd just like to say a massive thank you for clicking on this video, for coming across and giving it a chance. It is my first YouTube video and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to give it a shot and hopefully it's enough to keep some of you around. Today I'm going to be talking about what I like to call aggressive language or aggressive words. It's effectively words that I consider to be aggressive regardless of the tone with which they're said or the context in which they are said. I realise there are multiple meanings to most of these words which are completely non-offensive and not at all aggressive, so bear in mind I will just be talking about the specific meanings that I will be mentioning in the video today. The first word I'm going to talk about today is pussy, meaning someone, normally a man but not always, who is afraid or weak perhaps. I think it's helpful to understand how these words actually came to mean these sort of newer meanings that they now have. Pussy originally was actually an endearing term for a sweet young lady, so immediately there you've got this sexist comparison of someone who is weak or timid or afraid and women. Also, the more perhaps obvious comparison would be someone with a pussy cat, which is a house cat, a domesticated house cat. What it's effectively saying is men who aren't typically masculine or fierce might be considered to be like a timid, tame, dependent house cat. The other link that I found between pussy and its current meaning is actually coming from the Latin word that means toddler aged, effectively suggesting that someone who is timid or afraid or weak is just like a small child. Whichever you think is the main root of this new meaning for the word, it doesn't change the fact that this word, although used a lot jokingly, is used an awful lot to try to belittle people or make them feel or appear less masculine. Personally, I think it's wrong to be criticising one another for being weak or afraid or showing your emotions. I think it's good and it's healthy and it's important that everyone does it. But there's a big problem here as well, which is of course this sexist rubbish, which is defining what masculinity is and saying that men, and for that matter women, should be a certain way. The other aggressive, or what I consider to be aggressive use of this word is of course when referring to the woman's body part. Now, when a woman goes into the hospital for a health checkup or is talking about just her health in general, she's not going to refer to it as her pussy. It's very unlikely. Maybe some people, but on the whole, no. Most of the time, the word is going to be used when it's talking about sex and attraction, therefore in an objectifying way. I know there are people, women, who think it's okay to use this word, who do refer to it themselves as this word, but there are so many people who are offended by it, who do think it's vulgar, and who find it very uncomfortable, and at the end of the day it's objectifying women, which is wrong. The second word that I'm going to talk about is tits. Again, this is a word which is largely used to objectify women. It's rare, I would say, that you would hear people talking about them like that in a medical sense or in any other sense other than in the context of sex or attraction. Of course, I'm not saying that I've never said these terms, I've never used these terms, I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but I really do try to avoid using them. The reason I feel this is so important to discuss is words can have such a huge impact. Look at bullying and depression and other mental illness and suicide and hate and discrimination, and words play such a huge part in all of those things. So many people use tits without being deliberately predatory or consciously objectifying, but you are objectifying women when you use words like that the majority of the time. And the big problem actually is the more people who use it, the more it's going to be used, the more young people and young children are going to hear it, and it's going to be reinforced in their minds and the minds of everyone around us as well, the more it's used, that it's okay to use that sort of language and it's okay to talk about women in a certain way. And the big problem there is that it's also going to come into the minds of people who do have malintention or who are of a predatory nature, and what it's going to do is it's going to affirm that it's okay to talk about women like that, and actually also going to affirm certain other behaviours which are slightly more extreme. For me, just using words that objectify women is wrong. One, because women are not sexual possessions. No one is a sexual possession. And two, as I say, the more that we do use these words, the more that it affirms and reaffirms in people's minds that it's okay. I have this saying, tolerating is accepting and accepting is facilitating. This issue that I'm talking about today is important to me, and what I mean by the saying is, if you see something that you really believe to be wrong, or you know to be wrong, and you just sit back and you don't do anything, you tolerate it. You may as well be accepting that issue or that thing as okay, or just the way that it's going to be. And if you accept things as okay or just the way they're going to be, and you don't do anything, you don't say anything, then you facilitate the continued behaviour, or facilitate the continued use of the language, or whatever it may be. Because if no one says anything and no one tries to make a change, then nothing is going to change. This doesn't mean that you have to go and march in the streets or do something crazy or drastic or extreme. It can just be doing research about the issue so you're better informed, or having conversations with your family and your friends, signing an online petition, anything small, just so you are trying to do something about the thing that you see to be an issue. Now, I understand there are so many things where people see them to be wrong, which so many people would argue that they're not, where it's not so black and white. Things like homosexuality or being of another religion, and that is much more, I think, down to people's opinions and people's personal morals rather than ethics in general. When it is more difficult to determine, or when opinion is more divided on topics, it helps me to think, does the behaviour have a harmful consequence? It's fine if you disagree with certain behaviours or certain beliefs, because you're entitled to your opinion. But you need to respect other people's as well, and sometimes you just need to agree to disagree, because those two women who are in love, or that neighbour who practices another religion to yours, they aren't doing you or anyone else any harm. Anyway, that was a massive sidetrack. The point I'm trying to make is the things I'm talking about today and the things I will be talking about in the future are important to me, and so I'm not going to just sit back and tolerate them and accept them, because I'd like to think that by talking about things we can make a difference. And I really encourage anyone who sees things, knows about things, hears about things that they don't agree with, that they really do believe or know to be wrong, don't do nothing. Just go and do something to educate yourselves or educate other people, or just talk about things. Don't keep it quiet. The final word that I'm going to talk about today is fag, and extended version faggot, used to refer to homosexuals, other members of the LGBT community, and also sometimes, like with pussy, people who are just afraid or weak. If you look back, fag was actually a term, a contemptuous term, used to describe unpleasant, often old women. So immediately you can see actually there's quite a derogatory and insulting comparison that's going on here. Public school boys in England used to be made to perform sexual acts on older students, and they were then referred to as fags, what we might nowadays call someone's bitch. So there you can see, actually we're talking about possession, and we're talking about submissiveness, we're talking about inferiority. I know there are lots of words to describe gay people, including gay, which can be used, are still used unfortunately, as a way to try to insult people or insult something. But gay is an identifier, it's just an identifying word, whereas fag and faggot are meant to hurt. They are meant to insult people. I know there are members of the gay community who would refer to themselves as fags or faggots. I don't know exactly why. I don't know if they actually understand or know about the origins of its use to describe homosexuals. But I do feel that lots of people just believe they need to accept, they have to accept that that's the way it is, to be labelled like that. And I just want to say, if you're comfortable with it and you understand it and you still want to use it to refer to yourselves or one another, fine, but please don't feel that you have to be okay with it. Because if you're not alright, that's okay. It's okay to not be alright with the word. I would say that this word is the most hurtful and potentially damaging word of the three that I'm talking about today. So please, if you take anything away from this video, let it be that you're going to try to stop using this word to describe people and to insult people. So those are just a few of my top aggressive terms or aggressive words. I know there are going to be lots of people who disagree with the things I've said in this video, the things that I'm going to say in the future, and that's fine. I'm open for a debate, I'm open for discussion. I think it's important that we think about these things and we try to understand them, and that we talk about them with one another. If anyone has any thoughts or feelings or reflections or criticisms about anything that I've said, please just let it be constructive. Please let me know. I don't know how well people are going to engage with this topic, but if they do, then there's going to be room obviously for me to make part 2, because there are so many aggressive terms, aggressive words out there, and I do think it's good for us to start talking about them and thinking about them. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you did enjoy it, if you are interested to hear what other things I have to say and what other things that we can start to talk about and think about, please do let me know. Please subscribe, please share the video, and I'll see you hopefully next time.